Welcome, friends, family, and other creatures of the sea, to some professional StarCraft 2 with the Protoss player in the red, the captain. It's Harstem, facing off against one of the smartest Zerg players out there in the blue, the Overmind. We have Lambo, in a best-of-3 Protoss versus Zerg showdown between two of the best content creators out there. So thank you for finishing up all their videos and freeing up some time to come on over and smash that like button. And maybe even subscribe. Haven't counted the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,663 likes in this video, in this cast. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because you don't see me playing, so I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better as the probe comes in, slaps down a pylon, another one, 2 pylons in order to 3? Now that's just gratuitous. He buys time for the adept to come in and complete the maximum tilt and annoyance. Now, was it worth it to slap down 3 pylons in order to buy time for the adept to get across the map? Emotionally, maybe. Economically, questionable. Physically, feels good. Well, the moderate inconvenience here, and the adepts get into the third base, but stop right there, criminal scum! The evolution chamber block, and then trapped in between a hatchery, a queen, and a zergling. The adept gets caught in what I think is called the devil's triangle, but the other adept is able to shade away, but Lambo baited into building over a dozen zerglings, going to be sending them to the other side of the map with a vengeance. Able to mitigate the adept damage quite quickly. Oracle headed across, going to spot the zerglings, and is not going to turn around, which means this third base is incredibly optimistic. The zerglings already nibbling on it. A few of them split off to deal with the adept, but Harstem forced to cancel it almost before it started. It's like a StarCraft ghost game. And now, Oracle in the orange after getting 2 kills, as the prophecy foretold. There must always be, in every Protoss versus Zerg, 1 Oracle in the orange after getting a mediocre amount of drone kills. Alright, it is known. That is just a science fact. But now it can be relegated back at home to defend. So, because you know, that which doesn't kill you leaves you permanently damaged, wondering why your race of advanced technological creatures lost the ability to repair basic mechanics that some redneck cowboys from 2 planets over somehow managed to do. But I believe that's how it goes. I think Sun Tzu said that. Baneling nest on the... Okay, wait. The Overlord... So Harstem had his 3rd and 4th gas delayed. Was it on purpose? Unclear. The effect, though, is Lambo kind of anticipating potentially Glaved Adepts. Because if you have late gas and a late 3rd, as well as more gates in the main, Glaved Adepts are usually pretty early on the agenda. But Harstem's actually just going for blink. A delayed blink. Which means Lambo might be misreading it just a little bit. Not that it's bad to have +1 melee attack, dozens of links, and a baneling nest. No. But it does kind of put you down that road of the mass Ling Bane style. Which, to be fair, is not unlikely the road he wanted to be on anyways. Just going for that many lings early does cut into your drone count. Look at the worker count right now. 52 to 52. Protoss and Zerg, both of them pumping out a few more, but Lambo... Well, blink is not done. And the oracles are on the other side of the map. Which means these probes... Actually, the stalkers themselves. And without blink, he's able to pick up one. The oracles burn through a few of the lings and discourage them from any further activities, but... Melee attacks, level 1. And blink completing. +1 just started for Harstem, and he started a Templar Archives as well. So generally... a bit of a delay on the rest of the tech tree, but Lambo hasn't even finished his lair yet. He's starting +1 ranged attack, which means almost certainly we're headed towards the Hydralisks. But for now, wait, he comes in, is stalking Overlord. Oh, I don't... Well, the overlords. Wow. Harstem gets it, kills 4 overlords, loses 2 stalkers, refuses to elaborate further. I guess they're easy targets, but that just feels a bit rude. Lambo did get supply blocked. Alright. Just flexing his stalkers there. And the net result is Lambo being severely delayed on droning up his 4th base. It's 65 drones to 71 probes. And he just pumped out another half dozen or dozen more. The Stalker's forced to blink back because obviously Zerglings were built en masse. A few trying to slip through. The wall-off is of questionable architectural veracity, but... And some of the Zerglings certainly demonstrating that as they just kind of jimmy their way right by the Stalker. No, not you. And now Zerglings get into the main. A clearly hero-inspired school of architecture. Few probes gonna go down, and during all this, Lambo retook the vast majority of the initiative. He doesn't just have a 4th, but also a 5th base. 84 drones with 10 more in production. A gratuitous amount of economy. But that might be what he needs to deal with the sheer efficiency of what Harstem is bringing to the table. He delayed his 4th base to get Storm in charge and make sure he pretty much had all the ground-based infrastructure he needed at this stage of the game. Hydras are on the way. Hydra speed, Baneling speed. Creep itself is a speed upgrade. So anything to get across the map and reposition as quickly as possible. Lambo, 1,500 minerals in the bank, waiting for these overlords to complete. Harstem, the same way, waiting for Warp Gate to complete for the most part. The production mechanics do kind of revolve around those things. Infestation pit on the way for Lambo. He is not tied to any sort of big all-in. As 87 drones, it's almost impossible to be committed to an all-in. He has about the best economy you could ever hope for as Zerg, and in fact, I'd call you greedy if you asked for more. 3,800 minerals a minute, 1,200 gas. He can make dozens upon dozens of Hydras while teching up towards high. Harstem, on the other hand, still hasn't been able to even slap down his 4th base. Going to attempt it now. The Zerglings were zoning him out, but he's been so focused on building up the right army, he may have lost the majority of the map. But at some point, you have to come across the map and get the damage done. At least Lambo does. Some exceptions may apply, but trying to take down the rock tower in order to delay things. Another set of storms on the left side, a cannon, some Archons merging. Zoning things out for now. Gonna be able to take down that rock tower. Almost drops him on the Hydras. Sure, Lambo, very well aware ever since the incident, I believe against Showtime, when 5 of his own lurkers died to a collapsible rock tower. Was a bit of an own goal on that one. But some Banelings crash into the rocks. Ah! Not exactly the best counter. I guess if you have unlimited money, but he's not quite there. Some of the Zerglings being cut through. Storm prevents the Banelings from ever popping out of the cocoons, but Lambo, during all this, is getting a hive. He's getting a lurker down. But he's not laying off the pressure. Harstem, only 150 supply. The Banelings arcing out, coming in from both sides, forcing him to expend the storms on just a few Banelings at a time, and the Archons will clean up the stragglers. For now, Harstem will hold with flying colors. Lambo, back home to rebuild, while Harstem realizing that this game likely won't end on the ground. Fleet Beacon is on the way as Harstem fills out the tech tree with the strongest possible options. Moving towards the Tempest, maybe the Mothership. Less likely the carriers, and hopefully not the Void Rays with Flux Veins. But 4 Dropper Lords on the way. Overlord speed as well, so a little late on that one, but Lambo looking to open up another front with Operation Overlord. Some revenge for the great Overlord slaughter of the 7-minute mark or whatever it was. That was weird. Not bad, but definitely odd. Meanwhile, a Mothership is on the way in the main base. The Dropper Lords waiting for their speed upgrade so they can float slightly more dramatically across the map. Lambo taking most of the bases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Whereas Harstem has locked down his 4th. Some banelings caught and killed. Storms actually saved from some of the storms by the stasis. Another Templar taken down, but the Oracle's protecting the majority. Hydralisk evaporated by storms at the front. But for all the focus on the front, Harstem has almost nothing in the main base. Couple Hydras distracting over to the right. There's absolutely nothing, and the mothership is currently building in the main. A doom drop from Lambo. A German taxi into the main, and now, well, there's lurkers on the left, but Lambo forced to pull back. Oracle's overhead. The main base is starting to crumble. Lurker's actually building inside of it. Gonna depower the Tempest over on the left flank. The Nexus itself, if he takes it down before the mothership finishes, that could be a disaster for Harstem. Though despite all this, he's really not taking this very seriously in the main. Too busy base trading. We'll see how it pays off for him, as Harstem not losing too much of his infrastructure. Well, he hits one of Lambo's key bases. If he can take this out and hold it, he can easily cut off the 2-3 bases in the corner. But here come the Zerglings. Wrap around from the north and the south. A false around the lurkers moving in. Looking to eviscerate the Protoss army. There's not even enough time to think about recalling. The Stalkers surrounded and absolutely slaughtered. But in the main base, the mothership completed. The Hydras were taken down by a combination with the charge lots. The mothership at 10% HP, but still gliding strong. Archon's over to the left side. Lambo unable to respond to this quite quickly enough to prevent the drones from potentially being slaughtered. Still a couple Templar with the armor. This battle group very strong right now. 19 drones dead. And he's gonna recall as much as he can. Now gonna lose an Archon. What just happened? The recall was dropped. Did he recall over the void? Okay, so I think this is one of the weirdest interactions, but it's a geographical quandary. There was not enough space. He couldn't fit an Archon nor your mother with enough space to actually have land underneath them. There's a maximum radius, and you can technically kind of maneuver it. You saw some of the charge lots. Wow, the Archon saw the Zealots get recalled out to the mothership and was left behind and died about half a second later. So, didn't have much time to contemplate it. But wow. Very rare, but kind of painful. It could have been worse, I guess. Active cloaking. There is an overseer. The lurkers are chipping through the base. This is a real siege here. I was so distracted by the recall confusion. The Zealots, there's no detection. Oh no! The Zealots are absolutely shredded. And not like in a fun way, not like a leg and hand. No! Just get cut to pieces. But there's no anti-air left for the mothership. It's going to be enough to drive Lambo back for now. Just a few charge lots more than made up for it on the right side, though. Able to take down an entire hatchery on their own. Cuts down a drone. Even going to get a couple more units on the way. But Lambo? Mixed bag. It's actually... Okay, alright. So, Lambo, does he have a Spire? He does! But no air attack upgrades on the way. Hey, did he just drop rocks on rocks, doing damage to the rocks? Wow. Rocky game so far. Learning so much about geography today. Important for me as an American. Oracle, Tempest, Immortal. Only the good units for Harstem. Lambo forced into more mundane things like Zerglings. Mothership still hovering overhead. Templar gliding forth and making sure the Tempest can't be engaged by the majority of the Hydras as they cosplay anti-air units. The Lurkers just dive right in and burrow down on top of the Nexus. The third base will be gutted with ease. Hydras, the Mothership glides back and the Hydras are driven. Well, 2 Hydras are driven away, 2 Lurkers easily obliterated, but Lambo cutting in. The third base was taken down easily. The natural, going to be a little harder, especially now that the Mothership is joining in, even though a strong gust of wind might be able to take it out. The storms have been well directed lately. And again, there's no anti-air left. He's gonna lose all of the lurkers, all of the hydras. And of course, anything else. Lambo's at 117, 123 to 115 supply. He never built that incredible bank that sometimes Zerg players, it feels like they can take to the next game. He didn't have 10,000 banked up to just throw endless waves at Harstem. And now the captain has navigated the tumultuous seas of Zerg and is now staring down. Well, hopefully some strong storms, but not ones he has to wade through. Lunges forward, mothership, half shields, queens assassinated. Lambo with some vipers, but storm on the hydras, autumn colors. Tempest still shelling, picking off even more. Storm, but another. The hydras lunging forward and the storm forcing them to slither back. 4 Tempest, more than enough to make it almost impossible to move forward. The Vipers could help, but feedback is also an option. Yanks in one of the Tempests, lunges forward, gets caught by the Time Warp. 1 Tempest goes down, no more Storm available. Fighting back with the Tempest. Lurkers moving in. There's a single Archon, Parasitic Bomb. The Immortals are holding. Quarantines, tries to drag it back, but what's left? Oh no. Lambo 96 to 96 supply. Harstem actually just warped in another round and took the supply lead. Oh no, that Tempest has 1 HP and 0 fucks right now. The shields are regenning. By the skin of his non-existent Protoss teeth, Harstem has managed to claw this back. And Lambo, if he wasn't able to do it with a supply lead and more Hydras, he never felt like he could make that big switch into Corruptors. The problem with Corruptors is if you don't have the economy, they're a massive gamble. If you make enough Corruptors to wipe out the Tempest, you won't have enough on the ground. And if you don't make enough Corruptors to take out the Tempest, there was no point in building them in the first place. You're still in the same situation you were before, but with even less useful units. So now he's got to deal with more, with less. I'm not a mathematician, but I don't think that equals a good situation. Harstem has been methodical, he's been patient, he's been pragmatic. And it's paid off. He's played to build this unit composition and make it almost impossible for Lambo to crack it. Lambo has made a lot of good moves, but Harstem's leading the stance. No tectonic destabilizer. Gonna try to pick off another. Are there any? There's still 2 Vipers. Hydras lunge forward, but the storms. There's so much energy on those Templars. Still 4 or 5 storms in there. Overseer gets taken out, but there's no more motherships. Harstem has not been able to afford another ship, but 11 drones down. Lambo doesn't have an economy, though Harstem can't know that for sure. It's been almost impossible to keep tabs on everything across the board. Some more units getting... Oh, some more crawlers getting pulled in. They're trying. They're doing their best. Oh, that's a lot of charge. There's 4 lurkers. Plus 3 range attack. The Zergling counter gonna find the base in the corner. And Harstem doesn't really have enough to protect his probes. A lot of them going to be slaughtered. Forcing him into an awkward situation yet again. Harstem gonna lose the majority of his probes. A couple Templar are going to be caught. There's still a Tempest. Lunges out of the storms, but the damage already done. The Vipers yanks in that Tempest. Finally picks it off. Another storm. The Hydras softened up. And at this point, another Tempest yanked in. Harstem lost 23 probes, but he's still about even 30 workers apiece. The Immortals blasting through, target firing the lurkers underneath. The Tempest just chipping away at the Hydras from long range. The Immortals, some charge lots running in front, and GG! Harstem holds the line. Well, the line was hard to draw on that map, but Harstem survives the onslaught and goes up 1-0. It wasn't easy, it wasn't quick. It rested on the edge of a lurker spine, but he holds. Lambo so close to breaking through several times. That's from our perspective, with all the information and all the time to backseat, it's like, well, why not make like 4 or 5 corruptors? And again, I can't stress how bad, or not even just how bad it feels, but how bad it is to try for corruptors and not succeed. All right, it's such a commitment. You need to either have the bank and be willing to throw them away, or know for a fact, and that is why Lambo stayed on Hydras, Lings, and Lurkers. He wanted to limit Harstem's economy, and then, when Harstem has nothing to rebuild, that's when, ideally, you build the Corruptors and wipe them out of the sky and have the ground army deal with the rest. But he never quite got there. Harstem still had just barely enough, that trickle of income that helped him put together the right units. The fact that Mothership, that one Tempest, these units living with just enough well, any more than 0. What in the architectural disaster? Harstem clearly going to the hero school of Protoss kids who can't build good. Like, Winter. Harstem's so much better than you. He could beat you 99 times out of 100 in arm wrestling. That's true. And in StarCraft too. No, that's not true. It would probably be 100. But when it comes to walling off, we saw last game, it was not good. All right? Part of the reason Harstem had such a struggle is that the wall off, so it feels like that's even in the wrong spot. Like, is this a wider wall map? Am I crazy? Has it always been like that? You know what? Jimmy, just edit this whole thing out. Okay? We have something for this. How is it? I have played this game for years. Protoss have played this game for years. I don't know. Just give him a door. Take away energy recharge and turn it into door. Okay. Here's what it does. For 50 energy, you can turn a pylon into a phase shift pylon. And that pylon can phase shift, which makes it all like gives the little ethereal like shade thing, and units can pass through it. Okay. It still sucks more than a supply depot because it can't be repaired and it costs energy to turn it into it. But guess what? Now, the door. Would Protoss players like that over energy recharge? No, energy recharge is insane. It's madness. I was wrong. Well, I wasn't wrong. I was partially wrong. I thought energy recharge would be a very, very good ability in this matchup. I actually didn't realize how strong it would be in the early game. I thought it'd be great for getting 2 storms, but I failed to anticipate exactly how incredible having 150 energy instead of just 50 energy on an Oracle was. It's amazing. And that's why, once again, Harstem dips in and grabs 100 energy from the recharge. I said it wouldn't help Protoss too much. In fact, it might hurt him in Terran versus Protoss. And to an extent, that's true at this stage of the game, where almost every Terran versus Protoss is some sort of all-in by either side, mostly Terran. Ideally taking advantage of that fact. Because remember, we had shield battery overcharge, which made it significantly easier to hold things like a bunker rush or a siege tank timing, but harder to kind of go storm or just generally have scouting in the late game. But the problem is, that energy recharge, absolutely incredible in Protoss versus Zerg. Having 150 energy for Storm, and 150 energy on Oracles. Amazing. All right. When do we get to recharge our energy? All right, Brenda? The Protoss have ways to do it. The Terrans, well, they always seem to have enough. When do we get energy recharge? Susan, did you know that Queens are actually the only unit that pops out with less energy than any... We only have 25, because we're that amazing. You see, that's again how you're defeating yourself. Why are you listening to them? Like, that's a good thing. Pulling yourself up by your energy bootstraps, having less energy than anyone else because of balance reasons. All right, your center of gravity is so low, you're not going to be imbalanced for 1,000 years, Brenda. 1, that's kind of insulting. And 2, you know, you've got a good point. Sorry, I blacked out for the Oracles defending another recharge. And Lambo building a lot of Zerglings. He's got 55 drones and a dangerous amount of lings right now. 41, 5 banelings off to the corner. Harstem is sending those Oracles as well as the Stalkers forward. The Queens will poke and prod at them. Those banelings are already queued up into the mineral line. Harstem with another delayed forge. Blink timing. Interesting choice. Meanwhile, is he looking? The Stalkers blink. Get down, Mr. Probes. Stalkers blink in and actually wall off the base. Beautifully done by Harstem. Great reaction time. Shuts it down completely. 10 more drones. Similar follow-up for Lambo. A whole bunch of drones behind the Zergling aggression. Hydralisk Den's on the way. Again, the Oracles wander into the Queens, and the Queen's happy to force them out. Harstem with the Templar Archives. Started the +1. The drones in the orange, of course. After killing... Or, I mean, the Oracles in the orange after killing a few drones. Harstem not trying to take a 4th. Instead, I think spooling up to get the correct army. Once again. You make sure you have the Storm. Plenty of gateway units. Really the Storm. It's mostly the Storm. Oracles. Melting a few more Zerglings. Harstem expands over to the right side. Lambo's already taken the left. 82 drones. The explosive growth here. I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less from the Zerg, of course, but... More Ovies on the way. +1 ground weapons about to complete for Harstem. That's a big one against the Zerglings and Banelings especially. Letting the Zealots kill the Lings in 2 attacks instead of 3. 2 sets of attacks, technically. Gonna be pedantic. The Hydra's working around the right side. A Stalker! I think he... Don't actually know how the Stalker ended up there, but either way, here comes the main attack. Storm! In 2 seconds. Lambo hitting right before it. The Overseer came in, but the Storm is already complete. Lambo was gonna try to contaminate and delay Storm, and he was so close to doing so. Still, this attack is finding a lot of success. The Hydras are able to take down an Archon. Some, Did he contaminate charge? No, he just didn't start it! Oh, that's worse. And, okay, no. That was, and that's definitely gonna make the top 10 sad recalls of the week. And again, most Protoss series are filled with those. 2 Zealots working on the 5th hatchery, and everybody else seems to be ignoring them right now. They may actually kill it. Okay, Hydras and Lings dealing with it. A whole lot more Hydras are coming across, but the Templar gathering energy. Only one of them has Storms with that energy recharge. A fourth base under heavy fire here. Harstem trying to buy about 10 more seconds so the rest of his Templar have Storm ready. But those are seconds he doesn't have. And the lack of charge is a critical mistake here. It really clearly should have been done by this point. But the not-so-charged lots, the charity lots, really. As the banelings crash in, evaporate them. And Harstem back down to 3 bases against 5. I mean, he's been in this situation before. But the supply gap is wide. The production is on point for Lambo. He's got so many, 24 Hydralisks, as well as a couple dozen Banes. The Templar not in position. He's going to lose some of the probes. Wades through the storm. A stasis. Catches the Stalkers. Another base going to be attempted. But it's a disaster across the board. And Harstem just taps it out. Lambo, with a decisive timing, just rolls right through. Beautifully executed by Lambo. Harstem, unfortunately, did not charge enough. Gotta up those subscription prices. Lambo strikes back. I love the attempt to contaminate, but waiting to get 125 energy on an Overseer, it's just sometimes you literally, even if you get a lair and start an Overseer in time, you don't even necessarily have enough energy for contaminate by the time they finish Storm, the way things go nowadays. But the fact, like, you want to get an Overseer anyways. You want to scout with it. So might as well try to time it out for Storm. I do appreciate that initiative. Maybe at some point we'll find those timings. The limiting factor really is the lair. But, we're all tied up 1-1. The ace match, the decider. Choose your content creator. I mean, the other content creator. It's like, I choose the Dutch caster. To which I say, you're gonna have to be a lot more specific. But Harstem not trying to block the base. Lambo? Where are you going? This is a proxy hatchery. It's a macro proxy. But he slaps it down, and here we go. Huh. Lambo's been doing a bit of this lately. Very Dark-esque. Rest in peace. No, he's doing his obligatory military service, which is very depressing. But for a few months, whenever he felt like it, Dark would go for a macro proxy. Like, this is not to build Zerglings. This is just to be the same version of player that Harstem was in the first game. Slapping down 3 pylons to delay the base. This is to throw off whatever your game plan is. It's a bold move to bring it out at this stage, but I guarantee you Lambo has like a whole flow chart. Probably a whole PowerPoint presentation on where to go from here. Harstem built, depending on what the Protoss does and exactly how long you're able to block for. Harstem does not pull probes down. He goes for 2 gate, so clearly getting aggressive. But Lambo is not going to have as much larva. He's not going to have Zergling speed, at least not for quite a while, which means 2 adepts are an existential threat, even if you have queens. Harstem just took the 3rd, which Lambo doesn't know, but he does have the drone scout in the main. I think you can see it from the edge here. Does he suspect it? I mean, I guess he could go retake the hatch. There and back again. Check out more of this story on my Dronely fans. How I got my hatchery inside his main. Jimmy. The adepts. Non-speedlings, but enough to body block him out, and in fact, one of the adepts going to get caught. Zealot back and slapping the hatchery. Overlord. Lambo doesn't know about the third base yet. But, well, based on the fact the probes are... Yeah, he should know momentarily. I think he's about to figure it out. The Zerglings are about... Either way, it doesn't matter. Zerglings are about to be here. Gets on top of the base. Lambo just now taking his third, so now we're left in this... I still can't tell whether it was worth it. Lambo doesn't seem to be interested in... Oh, Lambo doesn't seem to be interested in doing some sort of crazy follow-up. Just keeping Harstem off balance is the methodology here. Oracle's coming across. Already Queen's ready. Spore Crawler in position. Trying to move the drones out of the way so the Oracle doesn't even think about it. Warp Gate! Warp Gate is severely delayed. Wow! That is incredibly late. I don't think that's a mistake. I think he prioritized getting everything else, but the Adepts went a little too far. The next Oracle comes out, and things get more complicated. Huh. Well, that catch, the fact that Warp Gate is so heavily delayed, and he was able to catch 2 Adepts. Little things, but he's keeping the Oracles back at home. He's burning their energy by just forcing them to protect the Adepts. Lambo is clawing out a pretty significant lead now, as he's building 9 drones at a time. He knows there isn't a follow-up here. It's just the Oracles. So he can pump out the drones. The fact that Warp Gates haven't opened up yet, and now we'll finally see him. That Adept! He came back for it, and he will get it, and the Oracles are still back at home. Lambo with the Baneling Nest on the way. Does he already have a lair done? No. Does he have a lair started? Also no. So that should have been a giveaway. There it is. So the lair is going to be severely delayed, but Lambo getting a 4th base. The Queens... Knitting needles, not quite enough, but no more drone kills. And he wants that gateway as well. I don't know if he's gonna get it. There's a shield battery behind. Harstem has been pumping out probes. He's got 5 gateways, going up to 6, which is not a ton of production at this stage. It has a Zerg player and 1/3 Zerg myself. I do like Lambo's position. Harstem has definitely been thrown off balance here. He's played very defensive with the Oracles. I mean, kind of been forced to, but which has taken a lot of pressure off Lambo and allowed him to get not just 3, but 4 and going on 5 bases. 11 more drones on the way. That is certainly a gamble, but I think it's well worth taking. 75 drones. Infestation bit already. Hydra is dead. Templar Archives is done. Storm in production. But Lambo will have that full economy and access to all the bases. Oracle's coming in again. We'll try to burn another one. Hydra den's done. Revelation doesn't quite spot it, but shouldn't be too hard to figure out momentarily. Harstem's up to 74 drones, so all he needs to do is build up at this point. Both players, they've kind of staggered their way into the mid-game now after the rambunctious early game activities. Minimal losses overall, but it's been a lot of shadow boxing around. But having 5 bases and 80 drones doesn't even matter that... Well, it does matter, but not that much. That Harstem is already going for a fleet beacon. Having access to fallback bases and this economy feels incredibly good as Zerg. Rarely do you get this opportunity, but the proxy hatch clearly did its job of keeping Harstem off his back. Harstem not skimping on the charge this time. Clearly focused. +1 melee done, +1 ranged, following it up. And he will finally... Wait, it's me. No! The gateway! Man the harpoons! We sail for the gate! Oh, we got it. Alright. A Nexus under fire. Dodges the storm. Couple more ready, but the Hydra's coming in. More storms. Hydra's just tanking it. The majority of them taken out, but whittling through the gateway units. There's no more storms over to the left side. The charge lots are taken down, and a tide of Hydras just coming across the map. He already has a hive done. Lurker range is on the way. Lambo doesn't even need to do this damage, but he'd certainly like to. 4 lurkers in production. A few charge slots at the back. The queens, he actually target fires the drones. The Zerglings forcing the storms. Hydra's good storm. But running out of options. Harstem, lurkers breaking their way through. How long an energy recharge? Too long. 45 seconds. Mothership is halfway done. The Lambo is knocking on the door, and Harstem doesn't have enough of an answer. Lambo's up 60 supply. It's a bit of a disastrous situation for the captain. He's struck a Lamboberg, and he may be going down with the ship. GG! Lambo with a proxy hatch to keep him off balance into the full macro follow-up. Just outmaneuvering Harstem. He wasn't able to put together the death ball in games 2 or 3. He wasn't able to survive the onslaught. Lambo clearly had a plan each game of the series. Harstem as well, and, well, whoever was able to execute theirs fuller. More fully? Fuller. Either way, whoever had the momentum going into this late game scenario. Harstem held on for one, but Lambo clearly tightened it up, evolved, and overcame. He adapted and claims the series 2-1. So thank you for watching. Something a little bit different, more technical styles. But I think that was a clear demonstration of the interaction between those mid-game styles that you don't always get at the very tippy top. Well, make sure to check these players out, their content as well, if you want actual analysis of the games. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope it made your day a little bit better. If you got the means of motivation, be awesome. Check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free. At least for now. So, thank you to our Mule Tier patrons bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jiggy, Devin Door, Kate, Mario, Random Guy, and Suit. And I hope to see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Thank you for watching. Stay chill.